Hey, you told me before what the difference between Protestant and Catholic.
Right. Basically, the Protestant comes from the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church was first.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. And Protestant is against reform. The reform.
They protested
Catholic.
against the Catholic Church. So the Catholic Church became very much an earthly church. They were almost like royalty. They were kings. They had about in the Middle Ages they had 50% of all the land belonged to the church.
Oh, okay. They owned land.
So they were doing all kinds of economic activities. We do the same in Japan, actually. Japan also has a lot of commercial activities.
In the temple?
Temple.
Mm.
There are a lot of commercial activities. But there were people...
okay.
There were people in the Catholic Church who felt that the church was more an economic institute than a house of God. That they were more concerned about making money than to provide people with solace and to give them spiritual guidance. So they said, okay, this is wrong, and we want to go back and be the house of God, not the house of commerce.
Like Confucianism is the same.
It's the same.
Yeah. Going back to basic, right?
Right. Okay. So I didn't know that, but I think that basically
17th century they proposed back to basic. Same as Europe, right? The Catholic, the Protestants come in that same age, 17th century,
right.
and that
right.
same.
Right.
Confucianism going back to the more original.
Right, but the Protestant Church was a bit before that, but
yeah, same. Okay, I understand.
So the Reformation is about that, but basically they also became a house of God, and they also have a lot of power. Like if you take the Church of England, they still have a lot of land and a lot of money, and the Anglican Church is certainly not poor. Anyway. Christianity is basically a way, a road of how you can get to heaven, how you should lead your life. This is what we have in common as Europeans with the Japanese. Confucianism is almost like a religion. It's also what do I need to do in order to become a gentleman, in order to become a good person, somebody who takes care of himself, of his family, and then can become a benevolent.
Confucianism, cultivation, not a religion.
But it's not a religion as such. But it also describes what you need to do in order to cultivate yourself. Right.
Yourself.
So, but it describes the steps. So it describes the way, as opposed to Western philosophy like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and many others after that. They were more concerned about why do I exist? Why what is truth?
But interesting. But how come Westerners they do not they stop thinking philosophical thought or idea?
I don't
like,
think they did.
Confucianism. Confucianism is coming until now. Many people try to study, but in Europe, people almost none of those start philosophical asset in the Greece or Roman area. Forget it.
Well, I think that a lot of people would disagree that this is true, but I believe you're right. I believe that we are not really studying.
Oh, switching into Christianity?
No, philosophy.
No. I'm talking about cultivate self.
Cultivate yourself.
What is the basic background do they have? Is Christianity now? Like are you going to get to know the righteousness or benevolence?
Right.
Where from?
Values.
Yeah.
Values. That's not from philosophy. That's from religion.
But you don't believe religion anymore, right?
Right.
Where from do you get study?
So what is the background of the values? That's interesting. So basically, like for example, like the principles of democracy is almost like a religion. The principles of the law are almost like a religion.
Law never teach that kind of cultivation.
Oh, okay. So how to be a
Ritual law is different.
So where do we get our spiritual guidance from? That's your question.
Exactly.
Or is it not a spiritual? No, it is.
I
a
tell you,
spiritual
Japanese are gone. Okay, they don't they don't have anymore. Like they don't respect the national anthem. They don't respect Japanese tradition. But we had before.
But still, I do not agree that Japanese people don't have any values. They have very strong values.
Oh yeah, okay.
They have very strong values, but the institutions, it's not about the institutions. Basically, they derive their values from each other. I believe that this is about a majority that decides, that sets the standards for how to interact with each other. And Japanese people would like to...
By the way, what is this in European people? What is this? Where from do you study for cultivate self?
So if you are not a member of the church...
No.
Right.
Edson, I think between the Protestant and Christian, there's a distance because of the position of the church is different. Because for Catholic, church has authority and power. The Protestant has Protestant church is just authority.
I think
my understanding is right.
So the church itself, I don't think that the Protestants, they don't declare their institute to be holy, not like the Catholics. In that case, you're right. They claim a stronger, more sinister God than the Catholics. I think the Catholics, in themselves, they have a more positive image of God.
So positive image of God.
Right. Well, let's put it this way: that in Catholics believe that God is very forgiving. No matter what you do, you will be okay. In the Protestant church, it's more dark. Dark. So basically, they believe that people are naturally bad, and they are sinners, and it's very likely that you will go to hell.
But that people is almost all the Protestant. That's my understanding.
No, 50%.
50%.
50% Protestant, 50% Catholic.
Oh, really?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
How many people believe Christianity now?
At the moment?
Yeah.
I think it's probably somewhere. So I think there's a big gap. How to answer that question? Member of a church? Or active member of a church? Or believe in God? If you ask the question, believe in God, I think there are probably more than 50% believes in God. If you say, okay, member of a church, maybe 40%, 35%. If you say active member of a church, 20%, something like that. But it's not, I mean, this is tradition. The church has been around for thousands of years, and it has become part of our culture. So even though the institute is losing power, still, because this is history, this has become part of our norms and values that we have in our society. So even though there is not an institute that is giving this is dictating this to its citizens, still there is this almost DNA inside of every Dutch person that is the result of thousands of years of Christianity, and I think that most Catholics in the Netherlands have very typical behavior of a Protestant.